There is no doubt that Jesus was unique from a lot of people's perspective. Some people claim Jesus was Son of God or partially God. Some people claim Jesus was a human and prophet from God, came with the great miracles. Other people claim Jesus was a liar and he did not deserve to live on this earth. God says, indeed, the example of Jesus to Allah is like that of Adam. He created him from dust, then he said to him, be, and he was. At the end of this video, you will understand exactly how was Jesus created. Jesus goes through 7 stages of creation, unlike the normal people go through 6 stages. His DNA consists of 25 chromosomes, which is proof from God that he had no human father, and he will be back to the earth following the last 25th revelation. The creation of Jesus was the last cycle of God miracles creations. God created man from none, man from women, women from man. Both women and men produced tons of men and women. What you're about to see now is scientifically proven and from the Quran. And just remember, nothing is coincidence in this world, especially what God has created. God is perfect.
Regardless of whether or not they believe in God, most scientists agree the cosmic code appears to exist.
Everything in the universe is determined by the fundamental forces of nature. The strengths of those forces are characterized by numbers called fundamental constants that are so sensitive that if they changed by just a little bit, the universe as we know it wouldn't be here. For example, if the rate of expansion of the universe right after the Big Bang had changed by 1 part in a quintillion is 1 with 18 zeros after it, the universe would continue to expand or collapse back on itself, and none of this would be possible. To illustrate just how small a number 1 part in a quintillion is, imagine all the grains of sand on this beach. In fact, imagine all the grains of sand in all the world's beaches. That number's probably somewhere around a quintillion. In this analogy, if all that sand represented the rate of expansion of the universe right after the Big Bang, how many grains of sand would I need to add or subtract to wreck the universe? Just 1 grain, 1 in a quintillion. That's how precise things had to be for us to be here.
But even though the Big Bang was perfectly calibrated, intelligent life would never have formed if matter had spread evenly across the universe.
Had it been perfectly smooth, then there wouldn't be any clumps which would gravitate and form stars and galaxies. So we needed slight irregularities in the distribution of matter in the universe. Had those irregularities been much smaller, stars and galaxies wouldn't have formed. Had they been much larger, everything would have collapsed to form black holes.
But even with the right distribution of matter throughout the universe, life would still never have formed without a complex series of processes inside stars that converted helium and hydrogen into heavier elements like carbon that form the basis of all living beings.
Some of those stars explode, providing raw material with which to form new stars, planets, and ultimately life. Had the laws of physics been a little bit different, or even if the physical constants had been a little bit different from what they really are, this process of nuclear fusion and the explosion of stars might not have been possible, and we wouldn't be here discussing it.
I don't know a single scientist who would disagree with the statement that the world is exceedingly ingenious. Not just mathematical, not just beautiful, not just elegant, but the manifestation of something truly extraordinary.
The fine-tunings, how fine-tuned are they? Most of them are 1% sort of things. In other words, if a thing is 1% different, everything is bad. And a physicist could say, maybe those are just luck. On the other hand, this cosmological constant is tuned to 1 part and 10 to the 120, 120 decimal places. Nobody thinks that's accidental. That is not a reasonable idea, that something is tuned to 120 decimal places just by accident. That's the most extreme example of fine-tuning.
Titled The Believers, from the 12th to the 14th verses, God is said to give a detailed description of how the human being is formed. It begins by saying, "We then placed him as a sperm drop in a place of settlement, firmly fixed. Then we made the drop into a alaqa." We will translate this word very soon. "And then we changed the alaqa into a lump. Then we made out of that lump into bones. And then we clothed the bones with flesh. Then we caused him to grow and come into being and attain the definitive human form." In the 21st century, we can now safely say that this verse is clearly describing the process of human development in correct chronological order.
Descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century. The only reasonable conclusion is that these descriptions were revealed to Muhammad from God, from God, from God.
Imagine a world where a woman could bring back her deceased husband by giving birth to him. Or a man could bring back his mother and raise her as his daughter.
If we have a living cell of a dead person, certainly we could, in theory, clone that individual. We published a paper about a year or two ago where we show we can actually now create human embryos that are genetically identical to a normal embryo. The only way you would really know whether you could clone a human being is to actually implant that embryo into the uterus of a surrogate mother. Of course, we cannot implant those. That would be considered unethical, so it's unclear whether or not they would give rise to a human being.
Society has vehemently rejected reproductive human cloning. In this climate, it is extremely difficult for geneticists to obtain funding for their research. There is also a shortage of material.
So one of the problems with human cloning is the supply of eggs. So with a mouse or a cow, we can get literally hundreds, if not thousands of eggs. We can go to the slaughterhouse, for instance, and get them for $1 each and get thousands of these cow eggs. With the humans, it took us over a year just to get 5 eggs.
Even if you had the eggs, it could take hundreds of pregnancies to perfect human cloning, a process that could result in scores of babies with horrific genetic damage.
It'd be very much like if you wanted to clone your child, it'd be like sending them up in a rocket with a 50-50 chance it would blow up.
In most of the world, cloning humans is not illegal. One day, a rogue scientist will pull it off. But cloning a person is not the same as duplicating a person.
A lot of people, who have their pets, they want to often clone them, and they want Fluffy back. And what I tell them is, you're not going to get Fluffy back. As a matter of fact, we actually cloned entire herds of cows from a single cell from the same animal, and they develop a whole hierarchy just like we do in humans. So you have timid cows and aggressive cows, and they're all clones. So they develop their own behavioral patterns. So the environment has a very profound impact on your development.
Let's say we decide to take DNA from Einstein's hair and grow some new Einsteins. Those clones would not be the man who wrote E = mc squared. Each would have a unique personality shaped by his environment. Clones are like identical twins, born years apart. They may be similar, but they will not be the same. Perhaps the key to life after death is not to grow an entirely new body, but to resurrect the one you have.